Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday night bull ring. We have a awesome panel tonight. I'm sure most of you know who the panel members are, but I want to give them a chance to give a little intro, just in case you didn't know who they were. I'm sure most of you know who panel members are.
Fail.
Yeah, no shit. And anyway, I'm going to start with Shammer. Do you want to do an intro or say anything about your channel?
I am Shammer. I do Gray Man Concepts every other Friday, so not this Friday, the next one after that. The last one I unlisted for very specific reasons. Apparently what little apple whiskey I drank came out of my mouth in very bad ways, not throwing up things I said that I shouldn't have. I don't have the courage to go watch my own video to see if I should leave it down, so we're just going to leave that down for a while. But I talk about all things in the world of intelligence, espionage, body language. I did a book chat once. That was people liked. I don't know why. But that's me.
All right. Thanks for being on, man. Matt, resisted tyranny, guns, gear, and politics. Go right ahead.
Well, I'd first like to answer Gimp by saying, at least as far as the panel or people in the chat room go, no, nobody's pissed me off yet. I'm actually pretty. I'm actually pretty sore today. I did some stupid things at work and lifted things that I probably should have used a crane for, and I'm paying the price for it now. Other than that, Matt from Resist Tyranny, Guns, Gear, and Politics here on YouTube. Just put up a video tonight about national debt, and let's see, did a shooting video the other day, and look for some more shooting videos in the future. And find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Facebook, G+. I don't know if I'm missing anything, but yeah, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure to have you on here, Matt.
But plenty of people have pissed me off this week.
Yeah, you and me both. Rick, I see you have your camera on. Are you ready to do an intro?
Hell yeah, buddy. Thanks again for the invite. Hey, everybody on the panel. Nice seeing you again as well. All you guys out in the chat, you guys are awesome. But channel, most of you guys have come across me, so if you're not a subscriber, go on and hit that damn red button, for heck's sakes. There you go.
Thanks for being on here. Like I said, awesome panel. Rosie, go ahead and do an intro, please.
Sure. Got two channels, the Rosie O'Kelly channel, which is variety. We hung up a oven hood vent last weekend. We'll be putting that up. I like to do DIY projects. I like to do restoration projects, audio, vintage audio gear, restorations of particularly tube equipment. I like to go. We did some metal detecting. A video will be going up with that. Like to hit the gun range and just have fun. And then the Rosie Murphy channel has a weekly economic eco investment update that I do that may interest you. So it's always fun to be on the Tuesday night chat.
Well, of course, it wouldn't be the Tuesday night chat without Rosie. And and the Saint, would you like to do an intro, man?
Sure thing. I'm glad you saved the best for last, and I know that has nothing to do with the order on the bottom of the screen. Anyway, yeah, another Tuesday night, and just to celebrate, TR finished up with his giveaway, so I'd like to announce my 100 subscriber giveaway, and that's going to be 3 Q-tips, a slightly used gun cleaning swab, and a spent 5.56 casing. So to enter, just go to my channel and message me, go screw you, Taint. Thanks for having me on.
Am I going to need to declare it on my taxes?
That is the poor man's everyday carry kit right there. You're gray as shit if you carry that and make it work for you.
Holy shit.
Are the Q-tips slightly used as well?
No, they're brand new and they're even wooden.
Oh, then I'm not interested.
My question was going to be, where were they used? That's going to affect whether or not I
All
subscribe.
right, Shammer.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to get into candle making, so if they're nice and gross.
Who sent Shammer a link? It was
NASA.
me. My bad.
Well, when you're part of the NSA, you don't need an invite. You just come on.
National Shammer Agency has access to all YouTube chats.
True story.
Oh, this may be a train wreck. We'll just have to wait and see. But Rosie, as we always do, we will start off with economics. I know Friday they had a big push and everything looked great and the stocks went up. I really don't know what they did for Monday, to be honest with you. But I know they took a dive today. And I would like to hear your assessment of what's going on in the economic market worldwide.
Well, it's interesting. I had two things to talk about, and we don't have to talk about both of them. Certainly the most pressing one is the negative interest rates are taking more and more of the headlines. And the other thing is we talk a lot about the Federal Reserve. And I just leave it to the people on this side, if they're, your panel and the people out there. Things are usually born out of crisis, and the Federal Reserve, the United States Federal Reserve, was no different than in its birth. And I think it's a very fascinating history of how it came about, and really its noble intent when it was first born, and then in a later session maybe talk about how it became convoluted in its goals and started overreaching the parameters set by various acts and renewals like 1927 and some other ones. So it makes for a very interesting sort of compelling. It's full of drama and everything else, but we'll leave that to everybody else can kind of decide, because that would probably take a bit. But the negative interest rates are really something that needs to be addressed, because A, we're in uncharted waters with negative interest rates, and B, very few people understand what we're really talking about with negative interest rates. And the overarching thing to know right now is that they're indication of the level of alarm and concern on central bank minds worldwide. In other words, we've had Japan in a 25-year recession with no relief in sight. We have Europe slipping deeper into, well, what could arguably be called the dark ages over there, and it's like the light bulb is just going dim gradually here, month in and month out. And we've had this idea in the United States that we're sort of immune to that, but the reality is we're not immune to that. And TR mentioned the big rally that occurred last Friday, a 395-point update that was born on the back of the Bank of Japan coming out for the first time and saying, guess what? We're going to adopt a policy of negative interest rates. Now, the effect on banks, and remember, the central banks are really a place for member bank institutions to keep their excess monies, and they're used to earning a return on that. And when times are very difficult, like they are right now, it's very attractive for your city banks, your Bank of America, your Bank of Tokyo's, etc., Daiwa, and all those banks to sort of go negative on lending, in other words, shy away from the risks of taking a chance on lending money, as opposed to having the opportunity to get a smaller but sure return. Well, the money has come to such an extent worldwide to central banks that they believe it's having a negative effect on risk-taking in the economy. In other words, they're so worried about a 2008 repeat that they've decided to almost force banks to throw away their mandate to be prudent and go out there and start seeking risk and lending money. So the way they instituted negative interest rates is every institution has a certain amount of money it's required to keep on deposit with the Federal Reserve. It's a member bank requirement. And as such, you know, for a city bank, it might be $6 or $8 billion on reserves, might be $40 billion. It's really an amount between the Federal Reserve and that bank. Now, any reserves apart from that mandated minimum that they were required to put in, they would earn money on that too. But that's changing now. The Bank of Japan has said any money that you institutions put on deposit here in excess of the required minimums required by law and to have solvent banking, we're going to charge you a percentage. We're going to charge you basically rent to keep your money in our institution. So the theory is, when faced with gradually losing money over time, that they will find it more attractive to beat harder to bushes and find places to lend money. Well, like I said, it goes against the prudency of banking, where if you don't see an opportunity to lend money, why would you go out and try to force it? This is how we get into these situations with credit card interest, with bad loans on mortgage. So it's like the Fed on one hand in 2008 slaps you on the hand, and then in 2016 they slap you on the other hand because you're being too conservative. Now, I'm just going to read one paragraph, and it's about, yes.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this part of the problem with the bailouts? Weren't the banks purposely lending money, not only higher risk, but weren't they purposely lending money out to people they knew full and damn well could not afford the payments, like home loans and things like that?
Yes, because Bill Clinton called Alan Greenspan in late 90s and early 2000s, said, Alan, everybody in the United States should have the ability to own a home. Your standards that you're promulgating for banks are too rigorous. Loosen your standards. Make Fannie Mae, make Freddie Mac buy more of these loans in the marketplace. Let's stretch a little bit. Let's help people get into housing. So when banks were faced with the idea that they no longer had to hold on to the loans that they wrote, but instead they would be like a football that they could hand off, package up in $100 million bundles, and sell it to like a Goldman Sachs or a pension institution or something like that, and have that guaranteed that would be bought by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Where was their incentive to be prudent from then on? The whole incentive to be smart lenders disappeared because they know that they would be holding those loans for no more than the stroke of a pen until they could unload them on somebody else. All they cared about was getting the origination fees for those loans and passing those loans along, where they all accumulated into a gigantic ball at the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and those institutions. So you're exactly correct. There was no incentive to make good loans. There was starting to be every incentive in the world to let her rip. If you had a pulse, you could buy a house. You don't need a stated income. Look, the hell with that. I don't need to see a 1040, a W-2. fuck that. You know, I'll believe you. You know, I shake your hand. You look like an honest man. You say you make $150,000 a year doing landscaping work. Cool. Okay, we're going to qualify you for that $500,000 home. Everybody's happy because everybody knows real estate always goes up, right? Ha ha ha. So even if we screw up, we still have a rising housing market to bail us out. So exactly correct, Matt, with that observation. 100% correct. I just wanted to read this one sentence from the Chartered Financial Analyst Institute, and they had a thing about how negative interest rates will change the rule of the game. Traditional economic theory says that a combination of massive deficit spending, and Matt mentioned how many trillion? 19 trillion, Matt, on the...
Yeah, we are current, as of Friday, it was 19.012 trillion.
Okay, so I would say that that's a result of pretty massive deficit spending, wouldn't you? I mean, that's a hell of a lot of money accumulated at borrowed plus interest. So traditional economic theory says that a combination of massive deficit spending and historically low, not to mention negative, interest rates should produce a rip-roaring boom in which workers get generous raises, prices spike, and interest rates follow. Theory also says that even in the rare case of normal interest rates turning negative, the rates can't stay there because beyond this zero boundary, savers and investors will withdraw their cash and store it themselves, emptying banks and crashing the financial system. Well, I suggest to you sitting here tonight that that's exactly what's starting to happen with banking worldwide. Union Bank of UBS, Union Bank of Switzerland was gutted with a fierce stock drop last night. Bank of America today, Citibank, Wells Fargo, they're being gutted because their chances of making money in this kind of la-la land of interest rates is disappearing. And we're going to create a real crisis here of banking where we already see that large depositors are starting to make other arrangements for their monies and things, but I just want people to be aware that Japan's thing, although it seemed to be really smart to do that, you can see the repercussions 3 trading days later are coming home to roost. We had a really poor day today. We have commodity prices, except gold and silver, in free fall, which itself should be enough of an indicator to you that something, the gold price is like a thermometer in a sick person. The higher that goes, it's an indicator that something's gone haywire with the system. And then today we had a really bad day, and we're having a really bad night in Asia tonight. And I think that we have a chance now of pushing. I talked about the ridiculous of this 10-year note in the United States was at 2%. Well, hell, it's at 1.86% today and falling like a rock. I mean, we are just totally screwing up with this big chance we're taking, screwing up even the backbone of our banking industry now with this negative interest rate stuff. And I'll tell you, it's really something to think about. And people ask me, well, how does this tie into prepping? Well, it should be pretty obvious why. Because things are not going to continue forward the way that they have been. Things are going to change, and change dramatically. Budgets are going to be cut. There's going to be less money to go around. This deficit spending and these big deficits and all this QE 1, 2, 3 that were supposed to pump up our economy and stuff, they've had exactly the opposite effect now. It's coming home to a roost because the underlying signal it sends to people is we're in trouble here, we're floundering, and we're trying any fucking thing we can to get this ship away from the reef that's coming up right now. And it looks like a really, really bad things coming our way. So that's
Yeah,
about it.
I think they'll get away with it for a while because look back when they were charging really crazy rates for cash advances and how people weren't paying attention to pulling money out of ATMs and getting surcharges. So people have gone blind to all these charges that the banks impose on them. So I think they'll get away with it for a while. But we're not a cashless society yet. So eventually there'll be backlash. And my last point is typically the last thing that a government pilfers before it collapses is itself, and this kind of is a sign of that.
Well, think about this. How does a bank make money? I mean, when I was in banking overseas, my boss used to laugh. Said, you know, you happen to be sitting in the easiest business in the world to run. You borrow at 3%, you lend at 6%, and you're on the golf course by 3 p.m. We used to call it 363. That was it. That's all he said. That's all you ever need to know about banking. 363. But the other implied thing you need to know about banking is there has to be opportunities to put money to work in ways that make sense. And we've talked about, and TR will bear this out since July when I've been coming on these panels, that devoid of economic opportunity or places to invest, like where's the next big industry? What's the next thing coming down the pipe? Are you just going to throw money, you know, at building houses pointlessly and you know, making loans to companies whose revenues are now drying up and things? You know, you're holding a gun to banks' heads and saying, don't be prudent anymore. And we're still, because of the heightened sense of lack of security, there's even more incentive for people to even pay that 0.5% or 1% and still have their money parked in the bank as a way of perceived reducing risk for them, that they don't have to worry about making a bad decision. So it really is, as Chris D.I. Wire says on his side, big governments plus big debts equals a perfect shitstorm brewing here. So this could really be one for the ages. So, you know, I'm just seeing it unfold real time in every day. So, but it's a good comment, Saint, because we're telling banks don't do what you're supposed to do now. Go out there and find the drunk guy on the corner and stuff a couple grand in his pocket, and, you know, hope you get paid back and all that.
Now, I remember when you used to have to pay to have a checking account, and then they came out with free checking. So we used to have to pay for banking services before. How different is this from that?
Well, look at it this way. Banks have an infrastructure to support. They got a lot of bricks and mortar places, right? The places like Sallie Mae, the virtual banks, they're still relatively few and far between. Banking is still something that requires rent to be paid, or mortgages, salaries. There's a certain amount of losses that are going to be implied in what you do. And a lot of corporate debt now is going to be going belly up here, particularly in the energy sector. Like BP today reported basically no profits now, and they're still going to try to support their dividend. I mean, how long can things like that go on? Exxon's profits down 50%. But they put fees on because traditional lending is drying up in this country. There aren't things like TRs of, well, let's build an expanded factory on Jarden Corporation, or let's do this, or they're not out there. There's not those opportunities. So what they're doing is pouring more money into places that were expanding like crazy, like energy, and then, well, we're going to see that debt start to implode and go belly up, and you know, the corporate risk interest rates are already starting to rise very rapidly now. The spread, the junk bond spread, and all that. So it's, you know, they're going to fee it wherever you can, but yeah, people, you know, the minimums and all that kind of stuff. But that's the only way they know to really sustain themselves now. So it's going to be quite an interesting thing. There's going to be a lot less banks going forward. I can guarantee you that. I mean, I don't know. You'd have to have your head examined to start a bank in a negative interest rate environment.
You know, most people, well, some of the people out there at least know that for 10 years I didn't have a bank account. I stayed as far away from banks as possible. And it wasn't until this last year that I actually got another bank account just so I could cash my paychecks, basically. I got tired of spending $3 at Walmart to cash them. But I think it's important to note about banks, like government, like many things out there. It's not inherently bad. The reason I stayed away from it is because of the way banking is done these days. If we can change somehow or another the way banking is done, a bank is not necessarily a bad thing. There are millions of businesses out there that wouldn't exist if it weren't for a bank. And I think we have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it performs a very vital function of spreading risk over a large base and you know, providing funding economic opportunity. I think it's always had a good thing. It's just when government steps in, and I don't want to get into this tonight, Matt, but when government decides to get in there, Bill Clinton gets Alan Greenspan in the White House over lunch and says, you know what, Alan, and jabs him in his chest, you've been way too tight with your lending standards for housing. Well, that's politics starting to bleed over into the economic field. Do you think if banks had to live with those loans that they would write on real estate, that they would have written those liar loans, and if they had to keep them on the books for 25, 30 years like they used to, there's no way in God's green earth that they would, you know, oh, you don't have to have a proof of income, or, oh, you know, no money down, that's fine. You know, they would have laughed you out of the institution, but because they had Uncle Sam behind them, don't worry, write it, we'll take it off your hands. Well, let it rip. You know, they were just out there pimping for the show. So doing what came natural because of government. It's just, it's part and parcel. Everything government gets involved with, they fuck it up. Whether it's higher education, medicine, housing, banking, you name it. You know, it's ridiculous, the convolutions that occur because somebody comes up with an idea that we can make things better, fairer.
Rick, you had a question.
I do have a question for Rosie. A quick question, Rosie. And there's probably a lot of people in the same position out here. Let me give you an example. This happened to me. So when Greece was kind of going to shit with all the money, and you know, kind of a thing was flagging up there, I decided to put all my 401k into basically retiring at 2015 to kind of. I was very aggressive before because I had a long time for retirement, so I was rocking and rolling, you know, and it was up and down, up and down. And I decided to put it in a basically showing that I retired in 2015 to lock it into like a. Now, it has worked for me because I'm talking to a lot of guys that didn't, and they're, you know, they've lost a lot in the last little while. So I feel like I've made money by not losing money. Anything else you could say that maybe would help out, you know, the people on the panel, the people.
Well, I think you're correct. I try to. You know, I used to be a registered RIA and a registered commodity trading advisor back in the day, so I always feel like I have to put a disclaimer out that everybody's situation is different, and we sort of talk in hypotheticals here. But the point is, I don't know if you've ever heard of something called a PE ratio. It's a price-earnings ratio. It's at various points in time, it's what somebody's willing to pay for a dollar's worth of earnings in the stock market. When times are really bad and the market's flat on its back, people may pay 6 or 7 times for a dollar. They may pay $6 or $7 of stock value to get a dollar's worth of earnings. Well, we recently, the other day, peaked at 26 times earnings. That's almost the same level of 1929. when the big drop occurred. The real problem is, Rick, is people don't understand how fast things go when the herd runs. And although we've had a pretty substantial drop off the top, if corporate profits start to really look like they're going down dramatically, and we still have a market that's expecting 3 or 4% economic growth, and then as reported last week, we only get 0.7%. We're starting to open up this big gap of credibility here, lack of credibility in what's going on versus what analysts expect. And those gaps between reality and expectations, when they get wide enough, then the results are catastrophic. And this is the events that lead to things called crashes, because like in 1929, very few people perceived that there was trouble. The economy seemed to be going along good. And then out of the blue, quote unquote, we had this catastrophe, and people still poo-pooed it and said, well, it was just a correction, blah, blah, blah. No, it was a harbinger of a really bad thing to come. So do I think you did a smart thing? Exceptionally smart, because there's a lot of risk in equities right now. They've had this glorious, since I remember rolling down the road on August 2nd, 1982, and the market was at 777, and we had a 30-point rally. I mean, it was 5%ers. It was like one of the biggest things in history. I mean, we've basically been uptrending since 1982 with this. So we're due for something big, I believe, on the downside, and I think it's unfolding now. So do I think that you did the right thing? Of course. I've just been gradually buying silver since 2005. It's had its ups and downs. You buy more when it's low. You buy less when it's high. But I think you did exactly the right thing.
If the economy crashes, right? Here's the thing: is I was telling the guys, they're like, yeah, but you're going to be buying low when and if you're going to not retire till 15 years, and this is if the economic collapse doesn't go to shit in a handbasket, but they're buying stock slow. But what I tried to tell them, and tell me if I'm wrong, instead of riding the wave down, I stopped, and all my shares are worth this much.
Yeah.
So I just saved. Well, we'll use an example. Let's just make up numbers. Say I had $1 million, right? And I locked it into 2015. Now I can still lose money because there's still some type of stock there, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But my ability to go down like they're going down a roller coaster right now, all my share money's here, and they're down here right now.
Yeah.
They're going to be buying more, but I don't really care because an example would be like.
Well, there comes a turning point though, Rick, where you stop buying because what was obvious to a few people now becomes obvious to a lot of people that we've got really big problems. And you start to see corporate profits plummet, and you start to see corporate debt go bad in a gigantic way. You see the Federal Reserve with no room to lower interest rates anymore. And you start to think to yourself, this could get pretty bad. Imagine, Rick, that you were in 1994 in Japan. 1996, and the Nikkei Dow Jones was at 40,000. And then 25 years later, it's not even recovered. It's not even half of that level. Now, that just goes to show you that economies don't always have to recover and go back up and have value. I mean, we see, for example, in the United States that we've hollowed out manufacturing. We don't produce much here anymore. We have a lot of people that lived on the fringe of finances and services, but a lot of services are really just luxuries that people could do without if worse comes to worse. You'd be surprised how fast the people could do without the icing on the cake when times get tough. So I'm just saying that it's going to take a long time to clear out the dead wood and get the economy on a sound footing. Maybe it takes a gold standard or something else, but in 1929 to 1932, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 90% of its value. And you could say people were buying on the way down or whatever, but Well, those that were able to keep their jobs and had courage to, walk past the guys selling apples on the corner and still merrily throw their money in, yeah, they were maybe rewarded. But human nature is such that, when the news starts to be reinforcing, then people stop doing those things because it doesn't make sense to them anymore, and they lose that source of buying too. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't think there's any real safe place to hide because Rick, probably your safe stuff is in T-bills, and when we lose our credibility on all of our debt, that's going to come out in the T-bills, so those are going to crash as well.
Yeah, they will, but the thing is you have what I call this golden sort of age where in the world the United States looks like the least riskiest sort of outlet. I think we'd all agree at this point in time. I mean, China's like a shambles. They don't even know what's going on within China, right? I mean, they're celebrating Chinese New Year and just burning incense to the to the gods and stuff, hoping for the best. I mean, this still looks like a rock of stability. I mean, you've got Canada, which is weathering a really severe commodity downturn. So you're going to have this temporary sort of safe zone where you can have your money in T-bills and short-term treasuries and things like that, because even if you just keep your money, even if you preserve your capital, you're still going to be ahead of the person that loses 40 or 50% on a portfolio, right? And that's it's all a relative game. And I think that's the thing that you have to bear in mind is your dollar, Rick, is much more valuable 2 years down the road than it is today, because you have cash, whereas maybe the stock market wiped out $10 trillion of paper wealth or something like that that causes people to change the way they live. And, we have this big deflation now coming with oil prices and other sectors, or prices are having to go down. We have a younger generation that can't afford housing, and who's going to buy all these houses? And all these baby boomers want to retire. You can see some of the fundamentals are really sketchy right now. So I think even preserving in cash is a great thing. Is my opinion on that.
I'd like to comment. Chris DIYer said a little bit ago, America's so much better than this. Greed is killing us, and people are living longer. There's a couple different things there. I like that it's greed is killing us, because so many people out there, not necessarily tonight in the chat room, but just out in internet land, talk about capitalism, how capitalism isn't working. This isn't capitalism.
Right.
It is, and he is completely right. Greed is a bad thing in any aspect of life. Greed always ends up in the negative, having a negative impact. As far as people living longer, I blame that on ourselves. There are way too many warning labels out there. Don't put your foot in the wood chipper, warning label. We allow stupid people to breed, and they're starting to outnumber us. So I partially blame that on just the human species in general and warning labels.
Well, I blame it. It's a good point, Matt. I blame it on, we've lived off the fat of borrowing and, the go-go economy of post-war, World War II, and people start to get the idea when recessions are rather shallow and things get better again, and, well, we're at a new high, people start to assume, and liberal minds tend to think this way, is, well, maybe we can make a world that's fairer out there. So government starts to get involved, and people sit back at their desks, and wouldn't it be nicer if everybody could go to college, or if everybody could own a home, or blah. They start to imagine this glorious world, but this is where things come apart, trying to put this kind of world together. And I think it's more liberal economic thinking and really fat times caused this problem for us. That this feeling that this bounty will last forever, and that therefore we can hook a few more freight cars to pull along, no problem at all. And but there's a price to be paid for that, and I think that the bill is coming due now.
So do you see the potential crash that's coming being more than 50%? Because I see a lot of people, they're like, oh, pull your money out of the stock market now, and if it's in something like an IRA or 401k, you're going to lose 65% of that money if you pull it out right now. Between taxes and fees, I mean, is 45% better than nothing? Do you think the market will go lower than 65%?
Well, there's your Hobson's choice, right? Because on one hand, you have early terminations, and on the other hand, you have reality staring you in the face. I'm not going to, you could be real shrill on here, and these Alex Jones of the world, they come on. It's all about hype, and if you just present the facts and let people sort of connect the dots, and I say it's kind of apparent what you have to do. Now, your situation, like you said, Saint, shows you that in those type of situations, you're not even allowed to make rational economic decisions anymore to protect your future, because now you have this overlay of taxes and penalties to put on top of it. So, it really makes it, and I honestly don't know what to tell you in that situation. You're really rolling the dice of whether it's going to go, if past history is any indication, it's going to be a long time until we have what might be considered boom times and stuff. So you probably bring up the excellent point of the night on that. There's another case of government regulations and rules now putting a weight, shackling a weight to you, where you may not be able to do what you think the right thing to do is. And that's another one of the crying shames about the way government sets things up. I guess within a portfolio, if you can move to different asset classes, so much the better.
Mr. Tommy Boy 9 brings up, he says, the young kids have nothing to look forward to. And I'm not exactly sure what angle he's coming at that from, but he's completely right in almost every aspect. Economically, politically, education. That's really who I feel sorry for. Because let's be real, we're not going to change a damn thing in our lifetimes, at least not enough for us to notice. But it's my kids, and
let's just call it's my kids too. Let's just call a spade a spade. We've lost a lot of this peril of not working in this country, or of like, well, if I could just sign on and maybe I could stretch for disability. Now, there's nothing wrong with disability. I mean, Jen, my partner, she has primary progressive MS. She's progressively getting worse. I mean, she was designed for that. But I work in medical facilities where people come in and, well, I'm just always sad. Well, you're not supposed to be happy every day either, and, well, okay, we'll sign up. Our economy can only carry so much of a burden of unproductiveness, and then it just crushes the ones that are carrying it, and the whole system implodes. And I think we have to reach a point where, hey, you know what? Everybody's got to get down. Everybody's got to strap the leather bands on you and pull that plow behind you. We can't afford a horse anymore. It's going to be human power. And now you're back in China in the 1920s and stuff. I mean, there's going to be a real reawakening of work in this and the work ethic.
let me give you a good example of something I learned Sunday. And it made me feel better because, you think of the kids and Chris DIY, or he put, what does 20-somethings believe in, will fight for these days, video games and higher internet speeds. And I tell you what, on the after chat of TR Sunday night thing, we did a chat on mine, and this younger gentleman, Musket of 1776, never seen him before, never heard of him before, and I had an open panel, and he jumped on there, and I was thinking, he's a younger kid. I'm thinking, oh shit, here we go, This young gentleman had the greatest things to say, very knowledgeable about how the world's going. He has his eyes very wide open, and he's very informative and mature, and I was blown away at how much knowledge he had about the world and what's going on in it. And just a quick shout out, he's out in the channel right now, so if you guys get a chance, check him out, subscribe. But I was so impressed and so excited that the younger generation, they're not all about video games and all that shit. There is people that want to learn more, have their eyes open, want to learn more about stuff. So I was like, we can survive.
Yeah, you know what? That shows you that those diamonds stand out. That probably used to be more of the standard of the way things used to be. But now it like blows you away, Rick, that you see somebody like that that's well-informed, that cares more about internet speed or a double-twisted latte mocha with extra blah, 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 and understands things. I mean, it shocks you.
I thought it was funny. I posted a video tonight about the $19 trillion national debt, and the first comment on that was Muskets asking if there was a chat tonight.
There's always a Tuesday night.
No,
he doesn't even have to talk tonight.
That chat was like 2.5 hours long, man, and he was very quiet in the beginning when we finally got him to open up and actually talk. Just like the rest of us were when we got on these damn things. But that was his first time on a chat. But I think he blew the doors off a lot of people. What do you think, TR? You were in that chat.
Yeah, I think I could be mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, he's like 17 years old.
That's awesome.
But he is like, really looking into politics, economy, and stuff like that. In some ways, I feel sad because all the bad shit going on, and that's what he's looking into. But at the same time, I'm happy that there is a next generation that is concerned about it. So I got a little bit conflicting theories on it. You know what I mean? Because I would prefer our younger generation to have nothing but, sunshine and fucking rainbows ahead of them. But unfortunately, there's not. And for a young guy to look into the reality of what's going on, that is refreshing. That he's looking at it head on, face first. Young guy, got a lot to learn, but he's there. He's looking at it. He's listening to us. He's listening to other things. He's reading other things. So that is very, very cool.
Well, I want to just wrap up this thing with just two more short quotes here. And many of you know Ben Bernanke was the former Fed chairman after Alan Greenspan. He sort of took us through the helm of the 2008-2009 cataclysmic washout of all the real estate crash and things. But he had that funny speech back about dropping money out of a helicopter in the sky, and that basically deflation is really impossible for. And it said that in former Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke's now famous 2002 speech, he observed that deflation was impossible because modern central banks can create unlimited amounts of currency and, if necessary, drop it from helicopters. Now, here's my follow-on. they've now tried everything he mentioned in the speech except the helicopter drop. So I'm kind of wondering. I'm wondering when that will be picked up. And the last thing is, I feel sorry for people that are on fixed income and relied on their savings. They did the right thing. They were told to put some money aside, be smart, be frugal, take care of your retirement. They put money in the banks, and this big obvious side effect of negative interest rates is that they compel retirees' pension funds and others who need positive cash flow to move further out on the risk spectrum. Rather than accepting extremely low rates in government bonds, many fixed income managers will choose high yield bonds, emerging market debt, and high yield equities, and will have a broad-based fixed income asset bubble. Well, this is the really frightening thing about that is, like, the California pension fund is like, I don't know, it's the largest in the United States, and it's predicated on a 6% return year over year. Now, what happens if, well, we have a negative 6%? Well, you start to have what's called a cumulative negative roll-up on that. Now you're scrambling. You have these unfunded liabilities going forward. Now, how are you going to get the revenue? Because it's mandated to be paid, these pensions. So what do? You have to start turning to the taxpayers, and thereby you start putting more of a drain, another drain on the economy. So you can see some of these, what they call sort of Hobson's choices out there. There's no free lunch in the world. You cut interest rates or make them negative, you're going to see a lot of ramifications that aren't even known to us today spinning off of it.
TR, I think you just hit a record.
Which one's that?
It blew up from like 75 to 124 in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, you're at over 120, buddy.
Wow.
All for you.
Oh, no food saver.
I guess you're buying beer afterward, huh?
Yeah, drinks are on me.
Can you mail me a shot?
Well, I guess.
Well, I think everybody here is a prepper of some sort, fashion, somehow. And I think most of us kind of look at the economy. You know, there's a lot of reason people are preppers. Some of us look at it as a down-to-earth kind of thing. And I don't know. I don't look at it as a. I don't think I know Matt is a prepper, but I don't think Matt is a prepper because he's worried about a comet crashing into the Earth. He's looking at it as a, economy, the politics, the real shit that's going on. And I got a feeling all of us are that way. And Rosie. I know
Absolutely. It's very Darwinian. Yep.
Yeah. But I don't think she thinks, well, solar flares or EMP or whatever, just looking at it as a realistic kind of thing. We're all preppers because we're just looking at what's going on in the world.
Well, I'll have to tell you, TR, I am a prepper because I think that comet that seems to never hit the Earth but is always going to hit it every year is going to punch right through our flat Earth and suck us all into the hollow part of it with lizard people. And as long as I have enough dry food storage to offer up to the lizard kings, I'll be fine.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you think the Earth is round?
I would never, ever, ever.
He's saying he's storing bodies because the Lizard King eats people.
That's right. The slee stacks are back. A lot of people might not get that.
Oh, I get it.
I thought it was a stripper name.
How
Rosie
thick is
walked
the
on for a
earth in this?
second. I think everybody on the panel is a prepper to some extent, and I got to do a video, probably do it this weekend. Buckarun 11 wanted to know what your weakness was, and as a prepper, I do have weaknesses. We all have our weaknesses, and I will have to say my weakness is first aid. I'm working on it. That is like my new um, direction far as buying preps. I think I got enough food and water and stuff like that. I feel pretty good about that. So now I've moved on to medical, and I was kind of curious if anybody wants to admit or talk about it. What is your weakness that you need to work on or are working on?
Who's going first?
Medical. I think I would venture to say that probably the majority of people. I know not everybody. I know there's a lot of people out there in the medical field and they got stuff covered and whatnot. But I'm gonna medical definitely for me in every aspect. Not only prepping medical supplies, but knowledge, medical knowledge is my weak point.
My weakness is watching the SHOT Show videos and seeing all the new guns come out and you want them. But no, I think, supplies for medical. I have a background in medical, so I feel pretty confident about that. But having all the equipment, it's expensive. I mean, when you buy a little kit, you're not really getting much, and it may only be good for one use because it's so small and limited. But I think canning. I really want to learn how to can. Because you can go grow a garden and do all that, and if all that shit's gonna spoil, whether it's food, if you don't know how to can, I think I want to learn how to can. That's one of my weaknesses is food preparations for long term. Not like dried supply, easy stuff, add water kind of crap, but like getting into it, being able to utilize a whole animal, like a deer, an elk, or whatever, and not ruining it because you didn't understand the proper procedures of doing stuff.
Yeah, mine would have to be networking with other people and communications. So, bless you, Shamer. Tastes good?
Sticky. It's sticky. Come off my finger.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think we all have our weaknesses. It's not that we don't have any of it. Except for you, Shamra. I know you're perfect. But.
Well, I tend to agree with Greg out on the side location. Well, I'm in a pretty good sized city, so my weakness is actual logistics plan of where to go, and that's my real weakness. I haven't forced myself to sit down and say A, B, C, D, north, east, south, west. Get some logical plan together so you're just not on the road, that you actually, the old Chinese saying, if you don't know where you're going, every road will take you there. Well, I don't want to be on that road. I want to understand exactly what the plan's going to be, because I don't think there's going to be any chance to bug in here. It's definitely going to be a bug out situation.
Can you realistically pick any one of those directions?
North and west. I wouldn't go south because I'm going into extremely high density places. I could go, north and west. Probably northwest is the up into Humboldt and Mendocino counties, up in that area, or over to the Sierras. I sure wouldn't go south, and east you're just marching yourself into the Central Valley and deserts and the open land and all that out there.
Well, I bring that up because we are seeing a lot of turmoil in economics and politics, and I don't know that anything's going to happen anytime soon, but it's kind of getting to that time that if you're a prepper or if you are anticipating bad times coming, you might want to step up what you're doing, and that's why I bring that up.
If you're going to start prepping stuff and you're wondering what kind of liquids to prep, I highly suggest Ocean Spray Cran Mango. I discovered this stuff not long ago. It's the best damn juice on the market, I'm telling you.
That's how you resist the yeast infection.
This is awesome.
I think you got a good point, TR. I'm afraid that this thing will unfold much faster than people are maybe thinking about. So
Mine is fitness. That's what I told him on the external.
Well, it's just one of those things that it's better to be prepared and not need it than need it and not have it. So something to think about, something that maybe that extra $5 or $10 a week when you go to the grocery store, maybe you should think about, investing a little bit more into whatever your weekend. Whatever if it's first aid, if it's water, if it's whatever it is, you might want to, because if nothing happens, it's not that big a deal. I hate to be doom and gloom, but
No, I mean, because whenever I go to the grocery store, I always buy extra cans. Either extra cans of vegetables, extra cans of Chef Boyardee, extra cans of Vienna's Spam, salt. I buy one of those tubs, one of those whatever they are, half-pound things of
Lard?
Morton iodized salt almost every time I go to the store. And I don't use salt like in my daily life. I can't remember the last time I put salt on something. But I store it. I store a lot of it. And I need to start, because I got a lot of food. It's just food that I don't eat every day. Which, by the way, anybody who watched my storing or my prepping or storing rice video, there is food in my fridge and freezer now, just to relax your mind a little bit. But I got cupboards and closets full of food, and I do need to start stepping back on that, and instead of the extra cans of food every time I go to the grocery store, I buy a box of bandages, an extra Ace wrap, an extra bottle of ibuprofen, things like that. I do need to start doing that instead.
Won't hurt, that's for sure.
yeah.
I choose fitness because I can't do a lot of things I used to do. Plus, I have a lot of injuries that prevent me from doing a lot of things. And when you're physically fit, you can be a lot healthier, not get as sick as easily, or if you get sick, get an infection, get a cut, your body tends to fight it off a lot better. You can last a lot longer without food and water, unless you're so mentally weak you just quit. Because the human body will do so much more than we realize based on where your head's at. But if you get two guys in the same mental state, and one's not even remotely in shape and the other one's in great shape, the guy in great shape is going to last longer. He's going to get farther initially. When we talk about prepping and bugging out, I mean, it's a very realistic scenario that if you had to bug out, eventually you will end up on your feet. And there's a lot of fitness involved with walking long distances. I mean, you might walk even 4 or 5 miles a day now, but you throw 40, 50, 60 pounds in your back, get on uneven terrain, it's a total different story. So that's kind of the biggest reasons why I pick fitness. Plus, I know my body and what I can do and what I used to do, so that's where I'm at.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even though I'm not fit, I'm working out. I'm smoking and drinking beer, but other than that,
So I gather, Shammer, you think endurance would probably be the goal?
Muscular strength and endurance. If you're extremely fit, like a marathon runner, a competition swimmer, or a power lifter, bodybuilder, that's too fit. Your body requires too much. But if you look at a lot of really in shape military guys, athletes that don't necessarily worship their body, a lot of people now are working out a couple of hours a day, get in great shape, look really good. That kind of level of fitness is be like, I think, the farthest you'd want to take it. I think I had no doubt a lot of people were going to say medical. I think a lot of people would lean towards medical. It's not a common skill that people have. When they do buy medicine, they buy over-the-counter, some Band-Aids, maybe a few bandages. Maybe they don't know how to use that Israeli bandage or tourniquet yet, and they don't understand things like how to assess casualties, how to deal with heat and cold weather injuries, how to do CPR, for example. And there's so much more than that you can learn for even free. So that definitely is probably most people's weaknesses. But I think today in this world, fitness is right up there. It's probably the two #1 weaknesses of almost everybody.
Yeah, I think in our society, you're probably correct.
Yeah, it's like, I don't tell people what to eat or anything, but if anybody out there generally eats shitty, if you look at those calories and realize that you're eating, say, 3,000 or 4,000 calories, and you probably need that if you started working out, you actually would be amazed at how much food that's healthy you have to eat to maintain those calories, especially if you're like a big dude in pretty good shape who's lifting heavy weights all the time, starting to be a bodybuilder. Some of those guys eat 5,000 or 6,000 calories a day, and they have to take protein powder supplements just to reach their protein intake to build on the muscle that they have. And on top of that, they're eating 3,000 calories of regular food that's not even meat. I mean, if you talk to a vegan, especially if they're a bigger person, like in shape but bigger, you find out how much fucking food they eat. You'd be amazed how many calories don't exist in fresh vegetables or fruit. They have to eat a lot of it. So the better shape you're in, you can process foods. Your body can work more efficiently. You can you know a lot more about healthier choices. A lot of people today that are working out, that are living healthier, educate themselves, not just on fitness, but on how they eat, what to cook. They know a lot of those things. A lot more and more of those people are growing their own foods at home, are growing their own spices, are essentially preppers and don't even know it. And they're left wing as hell. So
what do you think, Shammer, about trying to also develop some skill that could be useful if you could band together, if you maybe are presented with the opportunity to be in a group situation, so you're not perceived to be just a lug of dead weight to carry around?
I think everybody should have a couple different skills, like a primary and a secondary, that they're fairly good at. And if you can't do that, one of them needs to be common with some familiarity. That would be useful. So let's say you're a fitness nerd, but if you're that guy that knows how to grow your own food, that's an asset. Whereas if you're the guy that just buys all the supplements, maybe not so much.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of, in our militia, we explain to a lot of people, as much as they want to go run and gun and do all this stuff, we try to find out what they have, what they can bring to the table that are other skills. We're trying to get to a point
that's what I'm sort of driving.
Yeah, we're trying to get away from 100% tactical type military stuff. Try to keep that no more than half. We're trying to do more canning, more skill stuff, more trade work. Trade work will be a big deal. Guys that are ingenious and know how to do different types of trade work. People that know engine. You don't even have to be an engineer if you know construction and how basic construction
Or if
works.
you
You can
have good
nail that.
mechanical aptitude or insight and can repair things and improvise, yeah, that's a great thing.
Well, the good news, Shammer mentioned vegans earlier. When you talk about vegans and how much they have to eat in order to get the calories, the good news, if you're thinking about switching to veganism, the good news is the more of this fresh fruits and vegetables and veganism that you do, it comes with plenty of condescending arrogance and smugness. I mean, that food is just full of it.
Well, a lot of them too that know how to grow their own food. Anybody that's ever grown their own foods and tried to grow something like, say, potatoes. I mean, you can get a shit ton of fucking potatoes out of a 5-gallon bucket. I mean, they can produce the food. And if you get a vegan, even if they're an asshole, but they know how to produce the food in quality or quantity, they know how to prepare the food without other things like meats. There's a lot of alternatives there, because if you get into an extreme situation, if you're in a place where there's not a lot of meat other than people, you won't start eating them if you've got vegetables, and it's, I don't support veganism in any way, but I'm just saying that person's an asset if they have the knowledge. Just showing up, being in shape, doesn't mean a person knows anything. It's no different than a militia guy showing up with all the cool $3,000 worth of gear, and $2,000 rifles. Doesn't mean they know a fucking thing.
Well, and that just means you might get one extra piece of chicken.
Yeah. I'll trade you a potato for a chicken wing. Sold.
Hell yeah, here you go.
Yeah. Plus, vegans, since they eat so healthy, they probably taste better.
That's
Well,
true.
the thing about medical and fitness is throughout history, everything from the Black Plague to problems in countries now, the number one killer is always people who don't take care of themselves and get sick. They get infections, diseases spread, lack of hygiene. That's the number one leader to all what really kills them, especially in these war-torn countries or countries where they've been in civil wars for 10, 20 years and we don't hear about it until America goes in and fucks them up even more. And it's because of the two things they tend not to have. They tend not to have a basic level of fitness, at least going into it, and they tend not to have any medical knowledge. And that's what's going to kill you. I mean, people raiding you or whatever, that's all bad. Getting in a car wreck, there's all kinds of scenarios. But the most likely thing is that you get sick or injured and you don't know how to treat yourself or have the gear to do it, and your body isn't capable of repairing itself as well as the next guy. And that's why those two are so important and they're so overlooked.
Yeah, in wilderness, or was it live? Damn, who was asking me a question up there? It's basically on our wilderness medicine. And there was a group out there, or a channel, but I've never heard of the channel. Maybe you guys have. I'll look for it and see. But yeah, and a body is a body. Whether you can patch it here or patch it out in the wilderness, the only difference is the less you bring, the more you got to be able to think outside of the box. Be able to adapt and overcome. But as far as knowing, where to take pulses, the reasons why you can know what their blood pressure is in certain areas of their body. If you don't have the equipment, then that's basically wilderness EMT, if you want to call it, or wilderness medicine.
Yeah, or even being able to ford a river, or just be able to, you might be in a place where you need to get across a raging stream or something like that.
Because you can spend thousands of dollars on all that medical gear, but the basics is being able to, stop bleeding. There's going to be things. Yeah, there's going to be things that they're going to have or may show signs of that you're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to do shit besides comfort them and wait for them to pass away. You know what I mean? So if you don't have the medicine, maybe it's a diabetic.
You need the knowledge.
Yeah, you need the knowledge. And having a book isn't going to do you shit. Let me just tell you, if you have a buddy there and you don't know CPR and you're trying to find freaking CPR in a 3,000-page book, you know what I mean? By the time you figure that shit out, so having a basic knowledge of, and I'm not saying know everything. Don't be like have the knowledge of a nurse. It would be great if you did. But if you know the basics, you can do a lot more than you think, especially out in the wilderness. Because fixing a broken arm or doing shit like that, there's a lot that you can do just by going to the basic first responder classes.
Well, I think people forget that so many of those little things can kill you. You know, a small cut, you get an infection, you don't know how to take care of it, you could at least lose your finger. A dislocated shoulder could screw a guy up forever, if not kill them. You know, maybe you know how to deal with a sprained ankle, but do you know how to care for it long term or what it could do? A broken bone, depending on what it does inside, could kill somebody.
Yeah,
You know,
depending on the
broken
bones,
ribs.
especially.
Broken ribs can kill somebody.
Drinking polluted water.
But like even having the knowledge, right? Say you got an infection, right? You got a scratch from your gun, and now you got basically gangrene in there, and you're like, you're touching the guy's finger, and it's warm and hot, and you don't understand that that's an infection and a gnarly one, right? I mean, we're going to pretend you're that stupid, and I'm not talking about you guys, but oh yeah, that's going to heal up just fine, and it's all big, red, black, and hot. Well, you know what? You might just have to learn that, hey, I've never cut a guy's finger off to save him because you didn't take the class. They don't have a class for that unless you're going to be a doctor or something. So you got to improvise, be able to adapt and overcome. I might just get a hot blade, sterilize it, cut his finger off, and then sear his skin together to, you know what I mean? That's maybe what you have. But it's,
Exactly.
the muscle in your head between your two ears is going to be your best bet as long as you actually put something in there to use later.
Well said, Rick.
Well, I think also to go along with that, we were talking about food earlier, and not only learning like the medical stuff and like what Rick's saying, but also learning what you can eat. It's said often to eat what you prep and prep what you eat. If you're somebody who holds a certain strict diet, you're more than likely not going to be able to continue that strict diet when things come down. So add a can of Spam to your diet occasionally. If you're talking about wild edibles, eat some wild edibles occasionally, once a month, something like that. Keep your digestive system in check with what you are going to eat, realistically eat, and shit hits the fan. Don't rely on your garden, and shit hits the fan. Because that's going to be something that's really bad. I mean, if you're a very, very healthy eater and shit hits the fan and you're reduced to Chef Boyardee, your body is going to really not like you.
You're going to have the shits and dehydrate. That's what's going to happen.
You're going to have the shits and dehydrate. So keep your intestines in check. Keep your body in check with what you think you're going to end up realistically having to eat, and shit hits the fan.
Well, and this speaks good to guys into fitness. A lot of guys in really great shape that are hardcore into fitness have cheat meals or cheat days where they literally eat whatever the fuck they want. They'll eat a tray of brownies and don't give a fuck because it's good for their body to not stay so strict all the time and their body can handle it. So if you get into that or you're that person, instead of, buying a pie or some ice cream for your cheat day, eat some of your preps that you don't normally have as part of your diet. It's just as fucking bad for you in a different way because most guys when they cheat that are planned meals, it's either high in sugar or high in salt. That's what all your fucking preps are anyway. So if you do a high salt cheat, eat some fucking Spam. You do a high sugar cheat, eat some fucking whatever you store that's rich and sugary, number 10 can of chocolate pudding. But
see, and that's how I thought that would be a good idea. So I took it like 5 steps more, and I make every day a cheat day, and then I just eat whatever the hell I want. It seems to be.
Well, you're prepared right there. You ain't walking for it, but you're gonna fuck those preps up real good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think people should prep as far as their food, stuff that they're going to eat anyway. They may not eat it every day, but the Mountain House, the MREs and all that, if that's your only preps, you're in trouble. You should be putting back normal food that you eat every day anyway. And so if you do have to rely on those preps, it's something you eat already.
Well, it's true with all preps. If you start prepping and saving a bunch of medical stuff, you need to know how to use it, or it's worthless to you. If you have a lot of guns and 500 guns or whatever, fine, but you need to be able to operate them, keep them clean, and you need to shoot them, make sure they work, and then you know how to use them. And food's the same way. It needs to be stuff that you're going to use, you know how to take care of. I mean, if you go on the internet and read all the big top 10 fails people have prepping, it's always food related, and it's about how they didn't protect it from rodents, or how they bought too much too soon and didn't rotate their food and had to throw shit out, or how it's spoiled because they didn't know how to manage it. But it's the same with all the preps, just like your water. You use the water, you recycle the water, you recycle the food out, you recycle ammunition out. You take care of your stuff, you keep track of it. You got to take the same approach to all of it.
Yeah, like whenever we go camping, Shammer can attest to this. Whenever we go camping, that's what I eat the entire trip. Is usually Mountain House and Cliff Bars.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Like Chris is, he had MREs for a month. Just kind of set yourself a month to just say you're in survival mode now, and that's a good idea. Give it a whirl.
I stopped eating MREs, not because I didn't like them, because I actually do like them. They're too expensive to replace, so I only eat them on a rare occasion. But I used to eat them about once every other week.
Yeah, like I think Vienna sausages are the closest thing to fucking garbage that man ever created. But I have a bunch of them. And when I go out training, I take a couple cans and eat them because they're high in salt. When you're active, you use a lot more salt. And then when it gets hot out here in the desert, you fucking lose a shit ton of salt. And they're so fucking high in sodium, they work great. My body gets used to them.
And they're tasty as all hell.
Yeah, and they go good with your favorite beverage.
Jeez.
My dog loves them, so that works out too.
You use them for traps too.
Yeah, Vienna sausages and a little hot sauce and some crackers. That's a fucking meal right there.
That's
Nope, right out of the can. Right out of the can, slime and all.
Yeah.
That's glorious, TR.
That's nasty. Beans and weenies better.
As far as traps go, you mentioned traps.
Yeah.
Instead of wasting your food, your preps on traps, there's always another option, and that is it's an inexpensive option. It's wet dog food.
My dog would disagree with that.
Like canned dog food. Not only can you eat it and it's not horrible, but it's you can use those for traps as well.
Well, dry dog food too. Rodents love it. So I mean, even if all you pulled was a mouse, you could turn around and use that mouse. But a lot of animals will eat dry dog food or dry cat food.
You can pour the empty can on some little pieces of wood, and they're not going to know the difference.
Yeah, you could mix it up with that cock snot out of the Vienna sausage can. Somebody'd love it.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do we drop down this?
Okay, Gimp. Yes, I've eaten wet dog food before, and it's not horrible.
Okay, it was a drunk night. All right, leave Matt alone. He couldn't read the can. All right.
At least he didn't say he's eating wet dog.
Yeah, just chamber up that round and pass it to me.
A little Tabasco, you never know.
I'm gonna lighten up the group. Yeah, better to eat the can.
It's not horrible.
No, I'm just laughing. Smell my finger. That was great.
Well, Matt, you have ate MREs back in the day, so I understand when you say dog food wasn't that bad, because it's probably on par with some of the older MREs. About the same.
Oh, yeah. Scalloped potatoes and ham was one of the worst things ever invented by man for the military to eat. Oh, there's some horrible ones out there. MRE omelet that's shelf stable for 10 years? No, don't do it.
Man,
So
this
what are
is-
you guys gonna smoke? You gonna grow your own tobacco? Is there something else you can smoke?
I have been working on how to grow Polish tobacco. I figured if I'm smoking pole, I can always make money on the side.
Nice.
That's the spirit that won the West, right there.
Now, if the shit really hits the fan, I guess I'll quit smoking.
I quit 20 years ago.
Hey, if you meet a guy who wants in your group and he's a fucking dope head who sells pot, just saying, probably a good guy to have around. He knows how to grow shit and he's got a product to trade.
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't smoke some pot. I'm just saying, as far as normal cigarettes, I'll probably quit.
Is there something that grows naturally? As obviously, it's not going to be as good, but just like edible plants, is there something that goes
Marijuana.
naturally down there that you can smoke? And
Yeah, pot.
move it?
Marijuana, pole,
So you could.
the Slee Stack stripper.
Please stack.
No, that's the thing. I mean, it really depends on how hard up you are, because there's going to be a certain point in time where placebos work and work well. So you hand somebody a fucking rolled up oregano stick and let them smoke it, they're going to be happy with it.
You got to look at it from the singles bar standpoint. If you're fat, lonely, sad, drinking away your sorrows, drunk at the bar, you'll settle for a lot. There's a lot of things you'll do, even to make a buck. $20 is $20. So,
I would agree. I would think.
like, I shouldn't have bought 20 packs of oregano, and I have 40 fucking 70-page notebooks. I'm like, sell that shit as cigarettes. People will smoke the fuck out of it.
There you go.
There we go. Dandelion leaf, banana leaves, celery.
Chicory root.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah, it doesn't have
if
to
the
be
shit
tobacco.
really hits the fan, it'll be time to get serious. And like I said, I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah, I smoke now. Hell, I'm chain smoking when I'm on these chats, but
It's the only time I
it's
do
time
it.
to get serious. I think I could get my mind off of it pretty quick. And not
You have to
worry
be
about
mentally
it.
prepared.
Yeah.
If you can get yourself to understand that life isn't that bad till you're sucking dick for a bite of a butt cheek chili dog, you'll get through a lot of fucking situations.
You have such an eloquent way of putting that, Shamer.
Right
It's
to
like,
the bone.
oh, it's a
Right
new
to the
recipe.
bone.
Somebody's grown corn.
Right
It's
to
a
the
corn
bone.
Yeah, I mean, if you're fucking trading oregano cigarettes to go fucking buy groceries in somebody's ass cheeks, that's when it's bad. But other than that, you can get through it.
That's a bad day.
Survival.
So,
No,
tea
that's
pepper
called
seeds.
recycling food.
Yeah. Wet tea bag on a coffee bag.
Yeah, chill your piss in little bottles and sell it as Jello shots. I mean, whatever you got to do to survive. Slight drop of vodka on top. It's a little salty. It's a new recipe.
Who invited Shammer again?
It was the one guy with the mohawk. Can't remember who that was.
You know, it's amazing. We don't talk about sucking dick ever on the chat until Shammer gets here.
Oh, we're still not.
It's not even mentioned.
Just the magic pole boy over there.
Yeah, just him. Always him.
That's funny.
And chewing ass. There's got to be something about ass
Good
too.
laugh.
Yeah.
He keeps trying to tell us he's got a girlfriend, but I don't believe it. I know he's got a boyfriend. There's no doubt about it.
He'd be fun to hang out with at a distance.
It would hurt her feelings. Oh yeah, all these people want to know me and be around me when shit hits the fan until they walk through the gate and I'm like, what's up? Hungry? And they're like, fuck, what did I do?
Things get bad when you don't care if it's bleached anymore.
Sometimes you want vanilla, sometimes you want chocolate.
I hope he's talking about the water.
No,
They got dysentery. I am talking about water.
the winking, not whole of love. Their thing.
The brown.
A starfish is an edible animal.
Oh no.
See, that's what you get when you mess around with army guys.
Today for lunch we're having the monkey butt special.
I usually try to stay with the respectable branches of the military, you know, Navy and Navy. Other than that, you know, come on, man.
I just noticed that you went from 124 viewers down to 70.
Oh yeah. I dropped a while ago as soon as Shammer.
That was just everybody underage. It was like, oh, I'm scarred.
All the parents pulling their kids away.
Yeah, they're like, what are you watching?
The hell is that?
Who's that bald dude with a cap on his head?
Oh, we're learning
How
about
did we go
we're
from-
learning about starfish tonight on TRprepper's channel. Really?
How did we go from the Federal Reserve to the chocolate starfish? I mean, come on.
I blame TR.
I do too.
It's all my fault. My bad.
You want me to start talking about oysters?
Prepping, and then Shammer opened his mouth, and
I talked about fitness and medicine. That went well.
yeah, that did.
Somewhere after that, the viewership dropped.
You know what? You guys have learned a lot. You know, and it was subliminal, and you guys didn't even catch it. It's
Yeah, and I'm the one drinking tonight, by the way.
duct tape on hand, so you can always duct tape Shammer it.
Now I'm going to get my beer chaser.
I won't resist.
If it makes you guys feel any better, I've never had a problem with Shammer trying to get in my tent when we're camping.
I got under his tent once.
He did get under my tent once.
It wasn't creepy. It's just like, don't make it weird.
So you pitched a tent and Shammer tried to get inside?
No, he was.
We were playing a game.
Yeah, it was a game.
What
I
goes
was
on
the
in the
weird.
desert stays in the desert. Okay, we don't have to ask questions.
They're close enough to Vegas.
But of course now, after the announcement last week that, I guess it was last week that I'm planning on doing like a Southwest shootout thing where for YouTubers and to come down here and spend a weekend camping, shooting, training, shit like that. Now I don't think anybody's going to show up. Like, oh wait, camping? No, I don't think so. That's all right.
They'll just be
Yeah,
one
they
person.
might wake up with their shorts down and face down and a quarter in their hand. You never know. It's crazy.
Just if Shammer is sitting outside your tent with a jar of honey and a smile on his face, just keep walking. It's not your tent.
It's a trap.
Like I said, they want to make fun of this Army, Navy guys, but there's Army guys. I just don't trust them.
Have you ever
Yeah,
seen the meme out there? It's top and bottom picture. Top picture says Army and Air Force on Liberty, and it's got like two half naked guys playing Twister. And then the bottom one is Navy and Marines on Liberty, and it shows, I don't know, some superheroes standing there saying, "We're here to fuck shit up."
I don't get it.
I'll be back.
Yeah, me and Matt get it though.
I bet you do.
Well, you can talk about Navy all you want, but you and David have proved without a shadow of a doubt.
There are no boundaries.
Yeah.
I just can't believe
where
50
everything
people.
stands.
I can't believe 50 people don't like chili dogs. Like they left over a chili dog comment. It's horrible. No faithfulness.
Well, I'll tell you guys this: when we're out training, like when we have a big statewide FTX or something, and let alone Shammer on his own, that's one thing. You put Shammer and I around the group of people, something is said, and you hear a group reaction of "oh, no," or "that's not right." It never ends.
Try to keep the troops motivated.
Well, all kidding aside, I had to think that anybody that's been in the military, if you've been in the military, you kind of appreciate the jokes, and it gets pretty rough.
Oh, if I could make a movie about the military on a deployment today, I don't even know if we could get away with an NC-17 rating. And everybody would be sick and also wondering where the war was. Because they get to see what life's really fucking like.
Like something out of MASH.
Yeah. A modern MASH.
I can hear the jackass thing going on now. Wow, wow, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we rag on each other pretty bad. In a good way, but yeah, it gets pretty rough.
No, in Rose's case, she just compliments people but doesn't mean it.
Oh, I don't know. Notice I'm keeping my mouth shut. They're all keys.
I guess Musket was on a chat recently.
I'm on my best behavior.
Musket said he was on a chat and he went back and watched it and he said he looked like he was 10. And that's a good thing. You've got a skill that you can market in a prepper group looking 10. I'm just telling you. They will keep your ass around.
Yeah, it's your
all
six.
you
Had
guys
a
are
after
great.
chat.
And Mindy said it's amazing what you can get used to. Yeah, especially with some roofies.
Yep. It's called life on the other side, boys.
It's amazing what you can get used to, especially when they tell you it's going to be just the tip.
I love Glenn over here.
Tastes like strawberries.
Somehow I knew if I invited Shammer, this chat would go to shit eventually.
Don't hold back, Gwen. I'm looking at Gwen on this side chat.
Yeah, Gwen's a little
gotta behave myself.
Gwen's a little slutty, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. She's like, I've dated people in all the branches of military. I got 7 kids by 5 different men, and I'm like, these are not dating headlines for your profile. Just don't.
Grassy Knoll Club is out there. Grassy Knoll, I was listening to your chat earlier. Didn't really get a chance to comment, but thanks for the shout out. I heard you mention my name and Shammer's name, actually.
What is... Musket must have been upset with my statement. Unless he means where to fuck.
Yeah, he's very upset with you.
I think that might have had something to do with something about him looking like he was 10 years old, but he is a young guy, 17, I think. If I'm wrong, Musket, correct me, 17, 18 years old. And he was on the Sunday after chat on Rick's Is Your Six Covered chat. And we chit-chat a little bit. But, yeah, young guy, but that's cool.
He sounds adorable.
Stay away from Shammer. Get away from Shammer.
He's like, don't drop the soap. I'm like, I don't. I'll slide that fucker across the floor to you.
The thing of it is as long as you stay 17 years old, Shammer can't legally get near you. The court says so.
Wouldn't
I
be
got
the
a
first
sticker on
time
my
Shammer-
car and everything.
He doesn't listen anyways, though.
That's funny.
Rick's doing A+ how-tos. What the hell is that?
Yeah, we couldn't figure that out either. We've seen your how-to videos.
Now Guinevere up her game.
I don't have any how-to videos.
Guinevere says her men were worn the fuck out and unable to continue. Oh, serve. Oh my God, that was great. Read fucking Vival's last comment.
Oh, no. Wow.
Like, God, man, that guy brings a game every time.
Wow.
That was new. That you make me blush.
Oh, Jesus.
Notice I'm still behaving here.
He's always got some good ones.
Oh my God. Oh.
When Matt
that-
said that he was 17 and you're safe,
As
my beer went down the wrong way because I engulfed it.
in your
Because I was
lung.
like, oh, it just fucked me up so bad that I choked myself. Because he was saying, oh, Shammer won't touch you because you're 17.
I'm not laughing at you, TR. I'm laughing with you.
As many 12-year-old jokes as fucking Shammer told, and they were jokes, don't get me wrong. It just fucking choked me up.
Your lung wanted to get drunk too, there, TR.
Well, I'm going to see if I can be on his bug out team anyway. So.
It's so funny he says that. It's like, you know how many states where 17 is well into the legal age?
Yeah, they're already married with 3 kids in some places.
That's funny.
I can't wait to see what Chris has to say.
I'm just thinking good luck, man, but I don't think you're going to do
All
better.
right. Well, TR, you took this down in the crapper.
Yeah, I know.
We needed a night to cut loose.
You should have invited him to the after chat.
Look at Guinevere nailed it.
Yeah, Shammer, check your private messages after the chat.
Well, here this last month, we just kind of been cutting up and having fun and talking bullshit. And actually, it's been a pretty good success. So everybody's enjoying it.
You can't always be ultra heavy.
Yeah.
That's right. The world's got to be
There was
fun
some
too.
serious shit earlier tonight.
Nothing wrong with being serious and then kind of getting off track and
having the downtime. Have the downtime to.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'll be drinking on the bug out. I know that. That'll be my skill set, making booze. So.
Bugging out's just going to be having fun out in the wilderness and being able to shoot shit that you normally don't get
Well,
to.
I guess for the first couple months, maybe till winter. Just I don't know how much we'll be laughing when it's 4 degrees. We're sharing a bear skin.
When's it gonna come 4 degrees in California?
When we're up in the fucking Sierras and the wind's blowing 82 miles an hour up on top of Tahoe.
That'll be negative
And
4.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you talking next to me. It's like, whose fucking idea was this? And I will pull out the 4 roses and say, let's go out with a smile.
That's your 3rd bottle tonight, Rosie.
No, I'm in happy land. I'm always off on Wednesday, so it's a beautiful night on Tuesday night chat. So, plus I got Shammer here tonight. Ooh. Yeah, it's all quiet on the end. Uh-oh.
What I missed?
You just gave Rosie goosebumps, Chamber.
Sorry, I'm taking.
Oh.
Musket hasn't officially said yes to that yet.
Yeah, I'm subbing Musket up.
They're trying to get my presidential endorsement.
Hillary, right?
Hey,
Oh yeah. Okay.
Hey, Ted Cruz kind of surprised some people, huh?
Yeah, yes and no. That was kind of predicted. Well, we'll see how it goes.
Well, we all know he's not really qualified to be president, and since that caucus never predicts the next president, it's kind of confirmed, isn't it?
Yeah, and not that I'm a Trump fan. I'm just saying that we'll just got to kind of wait and see what happens.
Well, narrowing the field down.
You wait till Hillary gets to the big states like Illinois and New York and the ones that really carry the heavyweights and stuff. It'll be I think it'll be the end of the Bernie parade.
Well, what I like about what just happened is 3 or 4 candidates are going home, pretty much. I mean, that's exactly what the GOP nomination needed. What this whole race needed was to thin that fucking field down a little bit.
That's the wake-up call.
Silence.
The only thing I could say about Cruz and Trump is that, and I'm not even sure about Cruz, but the GOP don't like them. That makes me like them. So I'm going to see it play out a little bit.
Well, we found out how Democratic liberals vote. They just flip a coin.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, a D is a D is a D for them. It doesn't matter. They have absolutely no interest in who the person is as long as there's a D after the name.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying Republicans don't do the same thing, but that is definitely something that liberals do. They're a Democrat? I support them. Do you know who they are? No. Have you ever heard them speak? No. Do you know what they support? No. But they're a Democrat.
Do you guys remember the old school voting booths? They had the party lever. You just pull that one lever and it just selects all one party down the line.
Well, I just have people outside hand you that ticket and say, here's all you need to do. Boom, boom, boom. That was back in Maryland, and that's it. I mean, everybody registered Democrat because that's how your mayor, your dog catcher, your garbage supervisor, all that shit was on that ticket. All machine politics.
Well, if Democrats are flipping a coin to decide who they're going to vote for, I want to know when welfare started giving out coins.
Well, there's 2 sides of an debit card.
Well, I just kind of wonder when the wheels are going to come off of Hillary's card a little bit, because it just seems real shaky. Her support doesn't seem rock solid to me.
I think that's the change Obama gave him there, Matt.
Yeah,
Is she going to be able to hold office in jail?
I think the Democratic Party They put all their
Eggs in one basket.
Yeah, eggs in one basket, and Hillary is going down in flames. Now they're scrambling, and
Hey, I
they're.
like that. Scrambled eggs in a basket.
Hmm.
I really think she has some credibility problems going forward that are going to be exploited in a pretty big way.
Fuck, I hope she has a heart attack.
Well, TR, you've got 2 votes out in the chat room.
No shit. TR for president.
Make sure when you do your write-in.
Yeah, I'll be your treasury
Hey,
secretary.
how much? Just think of this. All of a sudden, you wake up one morning and TR is the president. That would be awesome.
Oh, shit.
I could be his treasury.
They'd have to carry that tree stump. They'd have to carry the tree stump into the White House.
Wait a minute, Federal Reserve chairman.
Oh, there would be changes. Trust me, there would be major changes in the world.
Chickens running around the White House, shitting out and stuff.
Yeah, a new cock in every house.
Did you see Survival's comment out there? Holy crap.
Had I not heard that one before, I'd have been on the floor.
Turns out it's always perfect.
Yeah, Stewart Design says she won this round by a coin flip. Like, what the fuck? That's exactly right. You know, that has a resounding ring to the rest of the country.
Guess I'll join the game out there.
Yeah, Grassy Knoll has an interesting concept. Do you think that the superdelegates will really vote for Sanders when he isn't a party loyalist? You could have a really screwed up convention. The Democrat could be wide open. It's
You got a
interesting.
question out there, TR, about Greg Campbell. Who would you pick for your cabinet members?
Here we go.
You're muted, TR.
There's a joke
That's a
for you.
good one.
next
That's a
circle.
good one. That's a good one, Sharon. I like it.
He's on a 20-second delay. It's like, I don't want to do this.
He's got his own accent.
He's like, don't make me do this.
This could ruin your political career
I'm looking
forever,
at him over
TR.
here. He's like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not coming off mute.
He's all, fuck it.
He's like, the fucking just safe over here.
He already picked him. We're on the panel right now.
TR's still talking. TR, you're muted.
I did vote for myself as the last sheriff because there was no opposition to the Republican nomination, or whatever you want to call it, sheriff, and he is a complete fucking asshole, and so I voted for myself. So that was my write-in.
You mean your local guy's a real asshole?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Now the guy in the next county, the sheriff in the next county, is awesome. But the sheriff in the county that I live in is a complete fucking asshole.
In what way? I'm just curious.
Oh, he's all about
Pulling you over.
He's all about seizing people's property.
Mm.
Huh.
Strip searches.
I listened to him do a 30.
I think it's more attractive to more, since they passed that federal act that you can keep what you grab, sort of thing.
Yeah, I listened to him. I was at a GOP meeting, and he just went on and on and on and on and on how they're paying for helicopters and airplanes and all this equipment that they got from drug bust and all over, seizing property. And when asked point blank if the federal government come in and wanted to seize United States citizens' guns, would he step in and get it, stop it? He said no. If the federal government wants to come in and seize your guns, that's their business. And that's when all of us walked out. But the sheriff in the next county has on record on the news said, look, you're a United States citizen. You have the right to carry a gun. Get a gun. Get training. Defend yourself. We can't be everywhere at all times. And that's just one county to the next. That's how different it is. And I'm sure it's like that all across America.
Yeah, that's why I think they would have a great deal of difficulty enacting gun confiscation or something like that.
That's fucked up.
Tyler East, very well played, sir.
That was bad.
That was bad.
Well, Matt made that vegetable comment about taking him out of the chair, and Gimp wanted to know if he should spread his legs for Matt.
All right.
It's been an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah. Go ahead and end this. I got to go to work tomorrow. It's getting bad out there.
Personally, I'm a little appalled at the grotesque adult talk, but I went ahead and tried to be a team player.
I enjoyed the laughs on the back end of that. That's great.
Yeah, we went from serious to fucking off. So I hope everybody had a good time.
I'm slightly nailed anyway, though, so it's.
Yeah, you got it, or else things will get kind of depressing. So.
Yeah, we don't want to stay.
Yeah, exactly. Get the shit out of the way and have a few laughs.
Rosie, did you just say you're slightly nailed?
Yeah.
Is that like stopping in midway or something?
I mean, that's the tip.
Is that just the tip?
I'm just restrained for Friday. Yeah, just the tip. That's it.
I got slightly nailed. He started and I told him no.
I'm trying to
You just
behave.
sneeze a little more.
I could really go bad here, but
No, you can't.
She just needs a little more pounding, that's all.
All right. Y'all are killing me.
The difference between slightly nailed and all the way nailed is that one shot.
there's not much left, guys. I got a call for backup. So anyway, I had a good time tonight. Fun chat.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time.
Because TR didn't.
No, I did.
No, he didn't
I don't mind y'all messing around.
like that going off the rails there, but.
As long as everybody had fun, it's all good. But I do need to go ahead and end this.
Yep.
I'll let everybody do an outro. As much as I don't want to, go ahead, Shammer.
I'm good. I didn't have enough time to think of something.
Bash Shammer, great man, concepts. If you're not a sub to him, he has actually put out a lot of good videos and a lot of good information. We joke around with him, but he has actually put out some good videos. Matt, Resist the Tyranny. Go right ahead.
Well, thanks for having me on, TR. Matt from Resist Tyranny here on YouTube. Resist Tyranny, Guns, Gear, and Politics. You can find me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, Google+. There's my cat. and
there's a tail.
There's a tail. Thank you. That's awesome. Get out of here.
That was an asshole we were looking at, actually.
Hi. Move.
And if anybody does not know, Matt Resist Tyranny has a awesome giveaway going on right now. And
Plate carrier?
yep, exactly.
plate carrier, and oh man, I fucked myself up at work today. I can barely pick up this plate. And a set of body armor. So go to the channel, check it out. 5,000 plus subscriber giveaway. Always new videos coming out, and yeah, that's about it. I still need a definition of slightly nailed.
Private message me.
I'll give you a minute to think about it, Rosie. Rick, is your 6 covered?
I don't know if I can follow that cat. Yeah, is your 6 covered? Come check out the channel. Got some good stuff. I just ended a giveaway, so I got to do the raffle or the drawing still. But yeah, I'd say probably been doing a series on fire stuff. But other than that, guns, gear, prepping, same bullshit as everybody else on here. So fun stuff.
Cool. Rosie, do an outro, please.
Thanks, TR. I had a great time tonight. We really were, I mean, we probably as serious as we've ever gotten on here in the beginning tonight, because we're in serious times here, but we still have to live life. You know, you don't pull in the hatch and just stop living, and that's an important part of prepping, I think, too. Is you've got to have your downtime too. You've got to have your camaraderie. You've got to have your laughs. You've got to be able to just find humor in situations too. And although things are tough, I mean, you never know what tomorrow brings. But exchanging ideas, you know, I learned a lot of good stuff from just from Shammer. I'm not on many chats with him, but there were some good ideas about food and physical preps and other things that I thought were good. And I always come away here with the idea that it's an evolutionary Darwinian sort of thing, and the door is going to be small, and there's going to be very few people that are going to go through it. And have your fun where you can. I'll leave this. I have prepped a lot of stuff on the Federal Reserve. I think it's fascinating. We all know about the Jekyll Island Conference in Georgia, but you know, sometimes it's more fascinating to understand the roots of how things came about and all that. So if people want next week, you know, we can tear into the what really brought about the birth of the Federal Reserve and what its real original mission was, and then maybe the next week get involved in how it got so far afield with what it was originally designed to do. But TR, I always enjoy being on the preps. There's always a variety of stuff on my channel, and a lot of laughs, a lot of good stuff, and a lot of interesting projects and things, and a lot of fun. So I always enjoy being on with you guys on the side chat on the Tuesday night chats.
Well, thank you, Rosie. And yeah, if you want to delve into the Federal Reserve more on the Tuesday nights, I would be more than happy to, yeah, do that. I think a lot of people need to know that. Most people don't understand what the Federal Reserve is, so the more we can educate them, the better off they are. So that would be awesome. And thanks for joking around with us. And
Oh yeah.
it was serious, but it was fun. So thank you for being and hanging out with us. And I'm gonna let the Saint do his outro, and then we're gonna cut this off.
Alrighty. Again, saving the best for last. So don't forget, everybody, about my giveaway. You can win all these fabulous things. And to just even make it a little more enticing, I'll add this mostly empty bottle of gun oil for you. Alrighty. Been fun. TR, thanks a lot.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank you, panel, for coming out. It was an awesome panel. Even you, Shammer. And I just gotta give him shit just for the hell of it. Anyway, thank you everybody. Thank you the people in the comment section, the audience out there. I tried to keep up with it best I could, but y'all are awesome, and I just want to thank everybody for coming out, and we'll see you next week. So, later, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Bye.
Night, everybody.